Representative of Belarus, you have the floor.
Distinguished co-chairs, this terrible news we received on the passing of Ambassador Churkin. He is a respected professional, a dear friend. It appeals to our hearts. We offer our severe condolences to the bereaved family of the ambassador, and we grieve with our Russian brothers. At this time, it's very severe, and we understand how important it is not to lose the valuable minutes of our lives, to waste them on empty things that have no significance, and how important it is to talk about what is significant. Co-chairs, in addition to the important observations made by the distinguished Perm Rep of Algeria on behalf of NAM, I'd like to draw the attention of delegations to a few questions which we would like to discuss in the working group and to reflect in our resolution at the end. Number one, last year we agreed on establishing an ongoing dialogue among member states and the secretariats of the UN, aimed at improving its cooperation with the missions. The mechanism we thought up should begin to operate as soon as possible. To our great regret, in the plan proposed by the co-chairs, we did not find this theme. Our missions in their everyday work confront problems which at first glance would seem rather easy to resolve. However, it's not always possible to settle them on the basis of one or more requests to the UN Secretariat. We're convinced that, bearing in mind the privileged conditions of work in the Secretariat and the serious competition to get work at the UN, that member states are fully justified in not accepting things like the following. That, for example, on the UN website, the protocol lists contain information that is a year old, including information about dead people, that the masculine and feminine forms of address are often confused, there is incorrect cross-referencing of different lists. The UN staff stops their work on the national holiday days of the host country when diplomats continue their work and conduct official events. The interpreters stop their work at the end of the working day, although the meeting might not have concluded yet. There is no due internal coordination among the different services of the Secretariat. We have the sense of a lack of response or support by the UN Secretariat Services for the work of the International Association of UN Perm Reps, a unique ambassadorial professional association at the UN. This list, unfortunately, could go on and on. I hope that under the leadership of the co-chairs of the group and with the very active participation not only of delegations but most of all the UN Secretariat, that we will be able to establish before a discussion in the working group a full list of questions requiring urgent resolution. We are sincerely looking forward to very active participation here from the Secretariat, including the senior officials of the Secretariat. For all of us, it's important to remember that UN member states are the sole masters of this organization. Reducing them to asking for things is absurd and unacceptable. Number two, in our view, for a long time now, we should have improved the procedures for conducting high-level general debates, and we fully agree with the President of the GA. Each year, we have a situation where the heads of state and government speak, and a significant portion of delegations are either fully absent or only represented by junior diplomats. Cases of not observing the rules for speeches at high-level events, especially those with severe time limits, has become one more serious problem. Very often, not observing the rules at the beginning of the meeting means that those speaking near the end will either have to severely condense to a bare minimum their statement or not speak. Dealing with these two problems is noted in what the working group did, the recommendations of the UN member states and the UN bodies on conducting high-level events and participating in them. As it's a non-binding document, such recommendations could still describe a gentleman's code of conduct, which would allow all delegations not only to speak, but to be heard. In conclusion, I would like to suggest, in order to optimize the meaning and effect of the many discussions in the UN, that we introduce through PaperSmart the practice of establishing and posting on the UN website the official text and video archives of GA and Security Council high-level activities. This is already being done for statements during the high-level segment of the General Assembly, and it could be usefully extended to other UN activities. Thank you very much.
I'd like to thank the distinguished representative of Belarus for his statement, and I